What if the woman who spent years telling other women to be patient, to be reasonable, to be the bigger person, finally just snapped? I'm talking full-on, no more nice girl, burn it all down, revenge mode snapped. Not like I wrote a passive-aggressive text snapped. I mean hacking websites, exposing secrets, destroying reputations, going after everyone who ever crossed her or her family, with a smile on her face. That's Debbie Mullen, and she is one of the most compelling, terrifying, and honestly, deeply satisfying characters I have encountered in a long time. Dear Debbie by Freida McFadden is the #1 New York Times best-selling thriller that has been absolutely dominating American bookstores since it dropped in January 2026. 9 weeks on the bestseller list, debuted at #1, and for good reason. Stay with me, because this story, it goes places you will not see coming. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm so glad you found us. We do deep dive book summaries here, so you get all the drama, all the twists, all the good stuff without having to clear your entire weekend. And today's book is genuinely one of the most talked about reads of 2026, Dear Debbie by Freida McFadden. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Freida McFadden is the same author who wrote The Housemaid, the psychological thriller that basically broke the internet a couple years back. She also just got named to Time magazine's 100 Most Influential People of 2026. So yeah, this woman is not playing games. And Dear Debbie, some readers are already saying it's her best book yet, which is a big statement. So let's set the scene, meet our characters, and then get into the chaos. Because there is so much chaos. Okay, close your eyes for a second. Well, don't actually close them, you won't be able to watch, but picture this. A quiet, leafy suburb in New England. The kind of neighborhood where every lawn is perfectly trimmed, everyone waves at each other in the morning, the kind of place where you just know there's drama underneath all that politeness, because there always is. This is where Debbie Mullen lives. From the outside, Debbie has it all. Beautiful home, a husband, 2 teenage daughters, a career she built from scratch. She's the kind of woman other people look at and think, wow, she really has her life together. But we're going to learn very quickly that the outside of Debbie's life and the inside of Debbie's life are two very, very different things. So who is Debbie Mullen exactly? Debbie writes an advice column. It's called, you guessed it, Dear Debbie, and it runs in a local New England newspaper. Women from all over the area write into her with their problems, and I mean all kinds of problems. Women dealing with cheating husbands, emotionally abusive partners, toxic in-laws, manipulative friends, bosses who take credit for their work. You name it, Debbie has heard it. And for years, Debbie's advice has been the same. Patient, measured, mature. Take the high road. Be the bigger person. Don't stoop to their level. Have you tried communicating your feelings calmly? And people love her for it. Her column is beloved. Her readers trust her completely. She is the sensible, wise, comforting voice that thousands of women turn to when their lives feel out of control. Here's the delicious irony, though. Debbie Mullen, in her own life, has been eating her own bad advice for years. She has been patient when she shouldn't have been. She has turned the other cheek when she should have fought back. She has been the bigger person so many times that she's basically floating above everyone else at this point, and she is exhausted. But she keeps it together. She keeps the mask on. She keeps giving the advice. Until she can't anymore. All right, let's meet the rest of the Mullen family, because everyone in this household is carrying something. First up, Cooper, Debbie's husband. Cooper is fine. On paper, he's a perfectly decent guy. He goes to work, he comes home, he's not overtly terrible. But lately, Debbie has noticed things, little things that don't add up. So she did what any reasonable, rational wife would do in 2026. She put a tracking app on his phone. And what that app is telling her is not adding up with what Cooper is telling her. He's keeping secrets. She doesn't know what they are yet, but Debbie is very smart and very patient. Or at least she used to be, and she is watching and waiting. Next, Lexi, the older daughter. Lexi and Debbie are in what I can only describe as a Cold War, like full-on diplomatic freeze. They barely make eye contact. Conversations are 3 words or less. There's something that happened between them, something that cracked the relationship, and neither one of them is willing to be the first to really address it. And Debbie, being the advice columnist, knows she should talk to her daughter. She literally tells other mothers to do this all the time, but somehow, when it's her own kid, she can't. And then there's Isabel, the younger daughter. Isabel just got kicked off her soccer team out of nowhere. No real explanation. And Isabel is devastated. She's been on that team for years. Soccer is her whole identity at this point. Debbie smells something wrong. Moms always do. So between the husband with secrets, the daughter she can't reach, and the other daughter who just got blindsided, Debbie's picture-perfect suburban life is cracking at every single seam. And then it all comes to a head at once. Her editor calls her into the office and fires her. The reason? One of her recent columns was too controversial, too opinionated, not the warm, fuzzy, be the bigger person content they hired her for. Now here's what's interesting. The column that got her fired was actually one of her best, one of her most honest. For the first time in years, Debbie wrote what she actually thought, not what was safe, not what was palatable, and they punished her for it. So she's standing there, having just been fired from the job she built her entire identity around, going home to a husband who's lying to her, 2 daughters who are hurting, a life that feels like it's disintegrating, and something inside of Debbie Mullen just shifts. It's not a breakdown. It's actually the opposite of a breakdown. It's almost like a breakthrough, a clarity. She looks at herself, really looks, and she thinks, I have spent my entire career telling women to be patient, to compromise, to hope things get better, to not make a scene. And where's that gotten me? Right here. Fired, lied to, disconnected from my own children. What if I just stopped doing that? And that's the moment Dear Debbie, the book, becomes Dear Debbie, the legend. Because from this point forward, Debbie is playing a completely different game. Let's talk about the revenge, because Freida does not hold back here. When her editor fires her, most people go home, cry, eat ice cream, eventually update their LinkedIn. That's normal. That's healthy even. Debbie does not do that. Debbie, who has been the picture of restraint and maturity her entire adult life, goes home, opens her laptop, and starts making moves. She's smart, like genuinely, frighteningly smart. She doesn't do anything reckless or obvious. She's methodical, calculated. She finds the pressure points, the things her boss and the newspaper care about most, and she applies pressure. The newspaper's website gets, let's say, reorganized in a way that is deeply embarrassing for her former employer. Her boss's reputation? Let's just say that some information that he very much wanted to stay private becomes significantly less private. And the whole time, Debbie is calm, almost serene, because this is what taking her own advice actually feels like. Not the watered-down, be reasonable version she sold to her readers, the real version, the version where you stop letting people walk over you and you start walking back. But the job stuff? That's just Debbie warming up, because now she turns her attention to Isabel and the soccer team situation. Debbie starts digging, and the more she digs, the worse it gets. The coach, the other parents on the team, the dynamics behind the scenes that nobody was talking about out loud. There's favoritism happening. There's something going on with certain kids getting protected while others get pushed out. Isabel didn't get kicked off that team because she wasn't good enough. She got pushed out because of politics, because of adults behaving badly and using kids as pawns. And if you want to see Debbie Mullen at her most terrifying, it's when someone hurts her child. Because Debbie is many things. She can be patient about her own pain. She can swallow her own hurt and smile through it. But her daughters? Her daughters? No, absolutely not. What she does to the coach and the specific parents involved, I cannot tell you everything because I don't want to spoil it. But I will say this. By the time Debbie is done, every single person responsible for what happened to Isabel wishes they had made very different choices. And the most unsettling part? Every step Debbie takes is just barely on the right side of the line. She's not doing anything completely over the edge. She's smart enough to stay just within the boundaries of what she can justify, which somehow makes it scarier. And then there's Cooper, the tracking app. Debbie has been watching Cooper's movements for a while now, and the data is telling a story that she really doesn't want to believe. He keeps going places he doesn't mention. His schedule doesn't line up with what he tells her. There are gaps, unexplained gaps. Now, I want to be careful here because this is one of the areas where McFadden does something really smart. She doesn't let you assume you know what Cooper's secret is. She teases it. She builds it slowly. Every time you think you know, she adjusts the angle slightly and you realize you don't. Is he having an affair? Maybe. Is it something else entirely? Also maybe. What I can tell you is that when the truth about Cooper comes out, it is not what you expect, and it reframes a lot of what you thought you understood about their marriage and about Debbie herself.
Debbie's response to what she finds out about Cooper is, in my opinion, the most emotionally complex part of the entire book. Because it's not pure rage, it's not simple betrayal. It's this heartbreaking mixture of anger and grief, and something almost like relief, like a truth she already knew deep down is finally confirmed. And then she deals with it, in very Debbie fashion. I also want to spend a minute on Lexi, because I think this storyline is actually the emotional core of the entire book.